The ships were lost. Mindarus is dead. The men are starving. We do not know what to do. These words, hastily written on an improvised parchment, forever marked Sparta's defeat at the Battle of Cyzicus as a moment of utter despair amidst the Peloponnesian War. This cry of anguish, captured by the victorious Athenians, reflects not only the collapse of a fleet, but also the vulnerability of human resilience in the face of war's unpredictability. The Peloponnesian War was more than a clash between two superpowers of ancient Greece. It was a conflict that challenged opposing philosophies, incompatible ways of life, and brilliant strategies, while ordinary men bore the burden of their leaders' ambitions. The Battle of Cyzicus, fought in 410 BCE, became a turning point in this devastating conflict. At a time when Athens appeared on the brink of collapse, Alcibiades, a strategist as brilliant as he was controversial, turned what seemed like the end into an epic victory. To grasp the true significance of this triumph, we must revisit Athens' darkest period, when the defeat in Sicily had shattered its forces and threatened its very survival. At Cyzicus, it was not merely a battle for victory, but a struggle for survival and a sliver of hope. In this video, you will follow the journey of Alcibiades and his allies, delve into the intricate details of the cunning ambush that defeated Sparta, and witness how a single battle can alter the course of history. Get ready to immerse yourself in a narrative filled with tension, strategy, and timeless emotions. Welcome to another epic chapter of the Peloponnesian War. In 410 BCE, Greece was in the midst of one of the most grueling conflicts in its history. The Peloponnesian War, which had begun in 431 BCE, had already reshaped the political and military landscape of the Hellenic city-states. This confrontation was not merely a military struggle, but also an ideological one. Athens, the leader of the Delian League, embodied naval power, democracy, and commerce, while Sparta, heading the Peloponnesian League, represented land-based strength, oligarchy, and tradition. The balance of power, however, had shifted dramatically in recent years. After decades of naval superiority, Athens suffered a devastating blow with its defeat in the Sicilian expedition in 413 BCE. Thousands of hoplites and sailors, including experienced generals, were killed or captured, and the Athenian fleet, the cornerstone of its power, was left in ruin. Internally, trust in the democratic government waned as the city grappled with political, financial, and social division. With its forces weakened, Athens had to prioritize strategic areas to ensure its survival. Among all the contested regions, the Hellespont stood out as the most critical. This narrow strait, linking the Aegean Sea to the Black Sea, served as the primary maritime corridor for transporting grain from the north, an essential resource for feeding Athens' population, which relied on imported cereals due to its limited agricultural land. Sparta, recognizing this vulnerability, intensified its presence in the region, sending emissaries and troops to secure alliances with local cities and disrupt Athens' supply routes. For Sparta, controlling the Hellespont meant not only a strategic blow to Athens, but also the possibility of ending the war on favorable terms. Athens, on the other hand, understood that losing the Hellespont would be catastrophic. Despite its ongoing crisis, the city began mobilizing its remaining resources to defend this vital region. Amidst this desperation and uncertainty, Alcibiades once again emerged as a central figure. A scion of Athenian aristocracy, yet infamous for his ambitious and controversial character, Alcibiades had been one of the masterminds behind the Sicilian expedition. Accused of sacrilege and conspiracy, he fled to Sparta, where he offered military and political counsel to the Lacedaemonians, including the advice to fortify positions in the Hellespont and Attica. However, his relationship with Sparta soured, forcing him to seek refuge in the Persian court, where he once again showcased his diplomatic skills by aligning himself with the Achaemenid forces. In 411 BCE, Alcibiades negotiated his return to the Athenian side, promising victories that would restore his city's former glory. Alcibiades' return was met with caution. While his strategic prowess was unquestionable, many viewed him as an opportunist who had already betrayed Athens once. He knew that a resounding victory was necessary to rebuild trust among his compatriots and silence his critics. The opportunity arose at Cyzicus. On the opposing side, Admiral Mindarus, the newly appointed commander of the Spartan fleet, was determined to revolutionize naval warfare. Sparta, traditionally a land power, struggled to compete with Athens' naval supremacy. However, with Persian financial support and the construction of a new fleet, Mindarus saw a chance to shift the balance of power. Mindarus understood that a victory in the Hellespont could deliver a decisive blow to Athens. His plan was straightforward: consolidate alliances in the region, weaken Athenian presence, and seize control of vital supply routes. He established his base at Abydos, a strategically located city on the Asian side of the Hellespont, from where he could monitor and threaten Athenian operations. As Spartan forces increased their presence in the region, Athens faced a daunting dilemma. Lacking the financial and military resources of its prime, the city depended on capable leaders and innovative strategies for survival. Alcibiades, along with his allies Thrasybulus and Theramenes, began devising bold plans to regain the initiative. The Hellespont region became a hotspot of constant tension. Reports of espionage, defections, and political alliances surfaced daily as both sides prepared for a decisive clash. Cyzicus, a city strategically positioned between the Sea of Marmara and the Hellespont, emerged as the focal point of attention. The Athenian strategy, with a deep understanding of Athens' strategic needs and the urgency of securing control over the Hellespont, Alcibiades knew that a conventional approach would not suffice to overcome the Spartan forces led by Mindarus. He required a plan that combined cunning, tactical innovation, and precise coordination among his commanders. Alcibiades convened his key allies, Thrasybulus and Theramenes, two experienced and respected strategoi, to devise a strategy capable of neutralizing Sparta's numerical advantage and strategic positioning. The plan involved dividing the Athenian fleet into 3 distinct squadrons, each led by one of the commanders, to execute an effective maritime encirclement. Alcibiades' squadron, tasked with drawing the Spartans' initial attention by simulating a vulnerable position to provoke a pursuit. Thrasybulus' squadron, positioned to flank the Spartans from the right once they engaged in the pursuit. Theramenes' squadron, hidden behind a nearby island, ready to cut off the Spartans' retreat and close the encirclement from the left. This division allowed the Athenians to maximize the element of surprise and exploit the maritime terrain to their advantage. Coordination was critical. Any error could spell disaster, given the precarious state of Athens' fleet. Aware of the Spartans' confidence after their recent victories, and Mindarus' eagerness to eliminate the Athenian presence in the Hellespont, Alcibiades decided to exploit this recklessness. The strategy relied on deceiving the Spartans into believing that the Athenians were outnumbered and in retreat. Alcibiades sailed with his squadron in full view of the Spartan forces stationed at Cyzicus, deliberately displaying a reduced number of ships. The intention was to lure Mindarus out of his secure position in the harbor to pursue what appeared to be a weakened Athenian force. To enhance the realism of the ruse, Alcibiades ordered his ships to appear disorganized and hesitant. Before executing the plan, the Athenian commanders worked to ensure their crews were prepared for the operation's complexity. Speeches were delivered to boost morale, emphasizing the importance of victory not just for Athens, but for the survival of their families and the Athenian democracy. Additionally, logistical measures were taken to ensure the ships were in optimal condition. Rowers and hoplites were strategically positioned on the triremes, and coded signals were established to coordinate movements between squadrons without alerting the enemy. Alcibiades also factored in environmental conditions during his planning. The weather in the Hellespont was unpredictable, and adverse conditions could jeopardize the operation. Meteorological information was gathered, and the date for the ambush was chosen based on favorable forecasts. Geographically, the decision to position Theramenes' squadron behind the island of Proconnesus was strategic. The island provided visual cover, allowing the squadron to remain concealed until the critical moment. Furthermore, the narrow strait between Proconnesus and the mainland restricted the Spartans' escape routes, facilitating the encirclement. Mutual trust among Alcibiades, Thrasybulus, and Theramenes was crucial. They established fire and flag signals for long-distance communication. Detailed meetings were held to review each phase of the plan, anticipate potential Spartan actions, and prepare appropriate responses. They also devised contingencies in case events did not proceed as expected. For example, if Mindarus did not take the initial bait, they had plans to harass Spartan supply lines or launch nighttime raids. Understanding that troop morale could be a decisive factor, the commanders stressed the impact a victory would have on Athens' future. Alcibiades, in particular, used his charisma to inspire the men, reminding them of Athens' past glories and the opportunity to restore its pride. He also addressed concerns about his own reputation, openly acknowledging past mistakes while asking for trust in the present. This strategic humility helped unify the troops under a common goal. The day dawned under the overcast skies of the Hellespont. Tension hung heavily over the Athenian sailors and soldiers as the squadrons of Alcibiades, Thrasybulus, and Theramenes held their strategically concealed positions along the coastline near Cyzicus. The biting wind carried the smell of the sea and the anticipation of imminent battle. Alcibiades knew that every moment was critical, and patience was as vital a weapon as the steel-tipped spears aboard the triremes. With his fleet appearing fragmented, Alcibiades initiated the riskiest part of the plan, luring the Spartans out of their secure position. From a distance, the Spartan fleet, commanded by Mindarus, observed the Athenian ships navigating clumsily and slowly. The scene was meticulously orchestrated. Rowers executed deliberately erratic movements, while commanders shouted feigned, chaotic orders to emphasize the illusion of disorganization. Alcibiades understood that Spartan overconfidence and impatience were his greatest allies at this moment. The sight of an apparently weakened Athenian fleet provoked precisely the reaction he had anticipated. Mindarus, eager to solidify his advantage and eliminate the Athenian presence in the region once and for all, ordered his forces to leave the harbor and pursue the retreating enemy. Like a shadow stretching at the day's end, the Spartan fleet advanced with determination, confident that victory was within reach. As the first Spartan ships entered open waters, Alcibiades knew the decisive moment was at hand. As the Spartans moved farther from Cyzicus, the hidden squadrons of Thrasybulus and Theramenes began to mobilize. Alcibiades gave the signal, and the encirclement commenced. Suddenly, the Athenians, who had feigned retreat, reversed course with startling precision. The Spartan flanks, once confident, found themselves surrounded. Like hunting dogs closing in on their prey, the Athenian triremes cut off all escape routes. The clash was immediate and fierce. The sound of reinforced trireme prows colliding echoed over the water as rowers struggled to maintain control under immense pressure. Arrows sliced through the air, and spears were hurled from one ship to another. The Spartan soldiers, primarily trained for land combat, desperately tried to adapt to naval warfare but struggled. The Athenians, masters of maritime maneuvers, pressed their advantage relentlessly, narrowing the Spartans' options with each passing moment. Mindarus, recognizing the danger, attempted to reorganize his fleet. He shouted orders, directing ships to break through the encirclement, but chaos had already taken hold. The waters of the Hellespont were now littered with floating debris from shattered triremes, while sailors and soldiers fought for their lives amidst the churning waves. Alcibiades, ever at the heart of the action, led his men with fervor. His presence served as a beacon of confidence for the Athenians, who fought with renewed vigor under his command. As the battle began to decisively favor Athens, Mindarus ordered a desperate retreat toward the shore. He believed he could salvage what remained of his fleet and regroup his forces on land. However, the retreat was intercepted by Theramenes' squadron, which had anticipated this maneuver. The Spartans, now fully surrounded, faced a grim choice: surrender or fight to the last man. Mindarus, refusing to accept defeat, remained at the forefront, urging his men to resist. The fighting continued, but Spartan resistance quickly crumbled. One by one, their ships were sunk or captured. Many sailors abandoned their vessels, diving into the water in a frantic attempt to reach the shore. The Athenian victory at sea was complete, but Alcibiades knew the battle was not yet over. He ordered his forces to prepare for a new confrontation, this time on land, as he watched the Spartans retreat toward a final desperate stand. The Spartan fleet lay in ruins. Debris floated across the waters of the Hellespont as the remnants of Mindarus's forces struggled to reach the shore. The Spartan admiral, whose skill and resolve had carried him through countless challenges, now found himself in a dire situation. His men, exhausted, stranded, and without ships, attempted to form a defensive line on land. Yet the tide of battle had already turned against him, and Alcibiades wasted no time pressing his advantage. The Athenians, invigorated by their naval victory, swiftly disembarked. The forces under Thrasybulus and Theramenes coordinated a terrestrial siege, maneuvering to cut off any possibility of Spartan escape. Alcibiades himself landed with the confidence of a leader fully aware that Athens' fate was being shaped in that moment. Personally taking charge, he inspired his troops with words that rang as promises of glory and redemption for a city that had endured so much. The Spartan resistance on land was brief but fierce. Lacking naval support and with dwindling supplies, Mindarus soldiers were at a clear disadvantage. Yet their discipline, honed for close combat, made the clash intense. The sound of spears striking shields echoed along the shores of Cyzicus as both sides fought with a ferocity reflecting the stakes of this pivotal moment. At the heart of the battlefield, Mindarus personally led his men. Aware that escape was impossible, he refused to abandon his post. His example inspired his troops to fight with everything they had, but exhaustion and the overwhelming numbers against them sealed their fate. The Athenian siege tightened with each passing moment, and the Spartan forces began to falter. The final blow came swiftly. Amid the chaos of battle, Mindarus was struck down. His death marked the breaking point for Spartan morale. Leaderless, the Spartans began to retreat in disarray, seeking refuge in the nearby hills. Many were captured, while others simply surrendered. The Athenian victory was absolute. After the battle, the Athenians discovered a Spartan message written before the defeat, intended for their allies in Sparta. "The ships are lost. Mindarus is dead. The men are starving. We do not know what to do." This terse account perfectly encapsulated the despair and disarray left in the wake of the Spartan defeat. For the Athenians, this message was more than a report. It was a testament to the devastating impact of their triumph. The land victory solidified Athenian control over Cyzicus and the Hellespont. The crucial grain routes were once again secure, ensuring the vital supplies needed to sustain the city. More than this, the battle restored the Athenian people's confidence in their fleet and their leaders. Alcibiades, Thrasybulus, and Theramenes returned as heroes, celebrated for achieving a triumph many had deemed impossible after years of disaster and decline. However, even as celebrations began in Athens, the broader strategic reality of the war remained. The Spartan defeat at Cyzicus was a significant blow, but it was far from final. Sparta still commanded allies, Persian resources, and an unyielding resolve. For Athens, this victory was a reminder of its strength, but also a call to continue fighting with every remaining resource. The Athenian victory at the Battle of Cyzicus was more than a military triumph. It symbolized the power of strategy and human determination in the face of adversity. For Athens, this battle provided a brief reprieve in a grueling war, restoring control over the Hellespont and securing the vital grain supply line. The victory also reignited Athenian morale, proving that even after the disasters in Sicily, the city could still challenge Spartan hegemony. Alcibiades, with his cunning and charismatic leadership, emerged as the central figure of this success. His return to Athens was a triumph, cementing his image as an indispensable leader. However, the battle also exposed the limits of Athenian resilience. Despite the immediate impact of Cyzicus, the reality of prolonged warfare loomed large. Sparta, backed by Persian financial support, quickly began rebuilding its fleet, leaving Athens' ultimate fate hanging in the balance. The captured Spartan message, "The ships are lost. Mindarus is dead. The men are starving. We do not know what to do," became a powerful symbol not only of Sparta's despair in that moment, but also of the Peloponnesian War's volatility. It serves as a reminder that even the mightiest powers can face crushing setbacks and that the tides of war can shift in an instant. Yet, the victory at Cyzicus marked one of the last great moments of glory for Athens. In the years that followed, the city would face its ultimate defeat at the hands of Sparta, bringing an end to its dominance in the Greek world. However, the legacy of Cyzicus endures as a timeless lesson on the impact of bold leadership, innovative strategy, and the capacity to rise again during times of crisis. Now, imagine yourself in Alcibiades' position. Would you have the courage and strategic vision to turn the tide of history as he did? Or do you think a different approach might have altered the destinies of Athens and Sparta? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more epic narratives exploring the pivotal moments of ancient history. Join us on this journey to uncover the past and the lessons it still holds for us today.